what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2007 GMC Yukon XL Denali. Up front is a 6.2 liter V8 and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Yukon for a couple of reasons. One of those reasons is the fact that you guys absolutely love old GMs and so do I. And yes, I say old because believe it or not, this is 15 years old. I had to do the math this morning and that was pretty depressing. The second reason why I'm excited to share this with you guys is because I love these Tahoe Suburban Yukon vehicles, and I'm always excited to share another one with you guys. But before we get on with the rest of the video, if you guys would like to help out the channel, look at my blog, buy merch, or submit your own vehicle for review, you can do all of that at zackpradel.com or email me at pradelreviews@gmail.com to submit your vehicle that way, and all of that will be found in the description below. But let's get back to that 6.2 liter V8. Well, that was for the Denali. The Denali got the big 6.2. A 5.3 and a 6.0 were offered in this year as well, but this is the 6.2. It makes 380 horsepower and 417 foot-pounds of torque, which is awesome. However, what's not so awesome is the fuel economy, getting 13 miles to the gallon in the city and 19 miles to the gallon on the highway. A couple of things to note about that. First of all, this truck, this SUV, whatever you want to call it, takes premium gas and has around a 30-gallon tank. So you can do your own mathematics for the price of gas in your area. The other thing I want to note is that these smaller engines, the 5.3 and the 6.0, don't get much better fuel economy. The 6.0 gets 14 in the city and 19 on the highway, and the 5.3 gets 15 in the city and 21 on the highway, barely breaking into the 20s. So, poor fuel economy is kind of the name of the game with this. However, you do get that nice 380 horsepower. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed automatic transmission. That's no surprise, it's stronger than the 4L60 found in other trucks, so I definitely like that. Last but not least, this here Denali is all-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. We have quite a bit to talk about in here. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges. On the left, I have my oil pressure and fuel. In the center, I have my tachometer and my speedometer, and on the right, I have my battery voltage and my coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my cruise control options, as well as my heated steering wheel, part of the Denali package. And on the right, I have my skip track, voice command, source, and volume buttons. The steering wheel overall feels nice. Now the Denali badge is pretty scraped up, but we'll talk about that towards the end. And off to the left of me, I have my headlight switches, dimmer switches, and my fog lights. On the door, I do have my heated seat options, which are lovely here in January in Chicagoland. And I do have my memory seats as well as my get out mode, which GMs typically have. Moves the seat all the way back to make it easier to get in and out of. Then on the door, I have my power mirrors, power windows, and power locks. Moving into the center, I have 2 climate control vents, and we have the infotainment system. Now, this is actually a really nice infotainment system, especially considering it's from 2007. I do have a backup camera, as well as I do have built-in navigation that still works, and my favorite feature is that this does have a DVD player. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but when it is in park, you yourself can watch the DVD as well. So, William, who owns this Yukon, kindly left the SpongeBob movie in it, and I am nothing short of obsessed. I totally forgot how much I love this movie, and a majority of my review time has been spent just sitting and watching the movie. We'll talk more about the DVD system when we talk about the back. Then we do have our climate controls. Dual zone climate is very, very nice. And I get nice digital readouts. And right now the climate controls are set to 90 degrees, which is pretty flippin' hot and very, very nice. GM is very good about their heating systems. I don't think I've ever driven a GM product where I was cold. Down below that, I have 2 12-volt outlets. I have my pedal adjusters. This does have electronic pedal adjusters, which is the first for this body style. Parking sensors, traction control, and of course, my heated wipers. Moving down to the center console, I have a little opening cubby, as well as I do have 2 cup holders. So we will do the big friggin' bottle test here in the Yukon. And surprisingly, unfortunately, it fails. For a large vehicle like this, I had high hopes, but alas, I am let down. Then it has a giant center console. I have been quoted as saying that you can fit a rotisserie chicken inside of one of these. Don't ask me how I know. And then moving on to the seats, like I said, they're heated to the point where I actually have to turn them off right now. My butt is too hot, but they're nice and comfortable. They are memory, they are heated, they are power, and I absolutely love that. But speaking of seats, we have 2 more rows of seating, so let's go do some back seat reviews. All right, so we're in the back of the 2007 GMC Yukon XL Denali, and this is really where you want to be. I have my own climate controls back here. That's why you'll see the Yukon listed as a tri-zone climate, where the front driver gets their own, the front passenger gets their own, and then the third is the rear. I also have RGB ports, a 12-volt outlet, and of course we have the DVD player also playing the SpongeBob movie right now, which I am pleasantly enjoying. It's where the bandit blows the bubble and he's seeing SpongeBob and Patrick, if you're familiar with the movie. Anyway, I have my own vents up here like an airplane, and these back seats could be spec'd a couple different ways. Either 2 seats like this, or you could get a bench seat. But also something I want to show is that this is the factory GMC Yukon remote. I'm sure a lot of these have been lost to time, but this is actually what it looks like. And I have, for ultimate 2007-ness, here I am. With that being said, let me climb in the back real quick. And now in the back, we do have 3 seat belts back here. So 3, 2, and 2. Very, very nice. I also have vents right up here at my own head too, which a lot of auto manufacturers will offer a 3rd row, but then completely forget about them when it comes to climate controls. Not the Yukon. I do have cup holders on either side, which is great, but the really cool thing is that I still get cargo space behind this 3rd row. That's the defining factor between the XL and non-XL, or the Tahoe and the Suburban. The Tahoes have 3 rows as well, and they're about the same as this, comfortable as this, whatever. Basically identical, but that extra space comes after the 3rd row. So let's go take a look at it. So in the back of the Yukon XL, this is where you really get to experience that extra space. The Tahoe, it would have ended just right there, or the non-XL Yukon ends right there, but you get tons of extra space. You do get a 12-volt outlet, which I always look for in vehicles like this for inflating tires, or if on a camping trip, whatever it might be, and you get some storage options as well. Super, super nice, and this is one-touch open and close, which is very, very nice to have on a vehicle like this. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love the look of this Yukon. It was designed by our Lord and Savior, my favorite automotive designer, Mr. Wayne Cherry from Indiana. Not only did he design this here beautiful Yukon XL Denali, but he also designed the previous generation, which I think are the best looking GM trucks ever to be produced. He's also responsible for the Silverado, and I love it. He is awesome. All hail Wayne Cherry. I just randomly stumbled upon this. Another Wayne Cherry creation. Another Wayne Cherry creation. Wow. And so with that out of the way, let's get to my final thoughts here on the GMC Yukon XL Denali. Well, I don't think I have too much more that I can add in terms of opinion. These are fantastic road trip machines. I love that you get the extra storage behind the 3rd row. If you have a big family or you drive friends around a lot and you want to bring cargo, you want to bring a cooler and tow the boat the cooler will go on, bada bing, bada boom, get one of these. They're pretty much bulletproof. You're gonna have little issues like the Denali badge is all scratched up. The climate controls are all scratched up. But look under the engine bay. You have a spot for a 2nd battery if you'd like to hook one up. I'm comfortable. I'm content. I will pay massively at the pump, but that should be expected with a vehicle like this. So, in lieu of final thoughts, because that's it, and I want to give you guys all the information I can, I want to talk about this car's history a little bit. So this is a 2007 Yukon XL Denali, which was the very first year for this body style. And with that being said, this was built at the Janesville plant just over the border in southern Wisconsin. And I did some research into that plant, and I find it sort of fascinating. The Janesville GM plant started producing cars in the early 1920s. During World War II, Oldsmobile used the plant to manufacture artillery. And throughout the rest of the 20th century, it built odds and ends different cars for GM. Most notably, it built the 81 to 88 Cadillac Cimarron and the 81 to 89 Buick Skyhawk. But in 1992, they switched over to exclusively building large SUVs. mainly the Suburban, Yukon, and Tahoe. And so, if you love those older GM trucks from the 90s as much as I do, you owe a little bit of gratitude to that manufacturing plan. But unfortunately, in 2008, the economy went down the tubes. And with it, gas prices soared and SUV demand plummeted. They went from selling 70,000 Suburbans a year to just 28,000. There were massive layoffs. And the year prior to the economic downturn, there was a huge strike for automotive workers. And with all that being said, the plant closed its doors in 2009, just 2 years after this Yukon rolled out of it. And sadly, in 2018, they demolished the plant. It no longer even exists. However, you can still see it on Google Street View. If you go to this location, there's a street view from 2007, the year in which this Yukon rolled out of its doors, which I think is just super cool. And so I planned this whole speech saying, oh, this was the last of the GM American trucks. I'm happy to report that it isn't. These are still being built in America, but just down in Texas. But I just thought that that was so cool and interesting. And so if you're a big fan of these trucks, I hope I was able to give a little bit more information or spark a little bit of interest. These were actually Wisconsin built. With all of that being said as well, I miss trucks and vehicles like this. Yes, you could still go out and buy a new Suburban. And they're actually selling more Suburbans now than they were pre-economic collapse, which is a good sign for our economy. But I just feel like these were so honest. And I think that has to do with the styling, the features, everything in here. They're nice features, they're good, they're solid, it's a pretty looking truck. I don't know why, these are just my favorite generation of GM trucks. And I think that there's no reason not to buy one. If you can find one with decent mileage, in decent shape, I say go for it. I say go for it every day of the week. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to William for letting me take out his GMC Yukon XL Denali. This thing is absolutely awesome. I'm always glad to bring you guys more GMs, and that was all thank you to William. He's absolutely awesome. He also got me that Caprice to review last December, so super, super cool there. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.